And then we're going to have Vicki Lynn, who is, her daughter also has epilepsy, and she's going to share just a few minutes of her story.
Yep, I think we're the poster children of what not to do, Dr. Bonnie. Oh, gosh. I am a career recruiter. I work for a couple of companies. I run a couple companies. Can I get the little clicker? No, I hope I don't mess this up. Anyways, so I moved here with my company, but then I found another company because I realized that the cost of living here is a little different than it is in Alabama. This was me and Aubrey. 4 years ago tomorrow, we landed at 8/11/2015. She was pretty sick when we arrived. We had been through quite a bit to get to this point. This was a 2-year preparation to get to SFO. She and I sold everything and landed in SFO with 2 suitcases each and a dog. And so it's been a journey. This is what life was like for a while. Aubrey, actually, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I've been a caregiver to her. It's been a long, long road. But those years, 2008 to 2013, is when Aubrey had several brain surgeries that didn't work, and she had been tried on 17 different anti-epileptic drugs through those years, and nothing worked. At age 18, she sourced her own bad cannabis in Alabama and started smoking it, and she used it like it was medicine. So she, because it was $400 for an ounce, she would measure out her medicine daily and make sure that she only took 1 gram a day, and then she would grind up the keef and put the keef on her pizza because it helped her. So it took us a couple of years to get here, and this was our first harvest here. We'd never seen so much weed in our lives. It was really kind of fun and amazing. And Aubrey's been like a kid in a candy shop ever since. For us, it's not always been a smoking gun, you know. Like Dr. Bonnie said, that it is trial and error, and we've done a lot of things wrong, but for one thing, we've done a lot of things right. Well, it looks like I'm not going to get her triggers here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so Aubrey still has a lot of triggers. We call her our, what are those plants that die easily? Orchid. We call her the orchid. Quite frankly, Aubrey and I have danced with death more times than I like to admit in our 20 years of fighting what now she's labeled intractable, but I don't believe that. But so there are a lot of stressors, a lot of different triggers for her, stress being one, lack of water, not enough fat. So she has to have a lot of fat in her diet. It's really good for epileptics to experiment with that. Alcohol is a trigger. She tried that at 21. It didn't work so well for her. 7 months of trying out alcohol and 7 lands in the hospital, and finally I said, "Are you done with that?" And she was. She's kind of a stubborn child, you know, and when they're babies, you can give them the CBD and tell them to take it, but when they're adults, which is pretty much where I got Aubrey here at, you know, she wants to do what she wants to do, and as a caregiver, it's hard to watch, but you have to let them try. And then Mother's Day, she's given me a Mother's Day seizure every Mother's Day since we've been here, and I've told her from now on she's off the hook. I'm going to the mall. So Aubrey's current cocktail, and now that I've heard your talk, Dr. Bonnie, I feel like I want to add some terpenes to her regimen. I feel like it would really help. She's on 350 milligrams of Care by Design's 4-to-1, and for a long time that was working. But one day it kind of quit working, so she kept reaching for the THC, so we have ramped up her THC to as much as she needs. So she starts her day vaping or smoking, and she takes it and she ingests it as well, as much as she needs to stay stable. She still is on her pharmaceuticals, and I will tell you that we are finally at the place now where Aubrey is stable enough that we can start experimenting with possibly bringing these levels down, but that is going to be a decision that my 24-year-old makes on her own. She is, like I said, she's stubborn. but she has, after trying different things and after trying what didn't work, Aubrey has changed her diet on her own. She's more on a carnivore diet or a modified keto, so it's mostly meat and some vegetables and almost no carbs. And she recently cut out all of her sugars. And I tell you what, that was a game changer for us. She went from having a lot of auras, and if you know what that is, and it means you're going to have a seizure, you're going to have a seizure, you're going to have a seizure, your body's telling you, to she doesn't have those auras now. Are we seizure free? Not quite yet. But another thing that I really want to touch on is the emotional healing. When you have been dealing with seizures that will put you in the hospital or nearly kill you, there's a lot of emotional trauma that you have to deal with. And Aubrey is doing that. You know, she's seeing psychologists. She also consults with friends. I've taught her how to tap. Occasionally she'll do it. But she manages her stress as best that she can, and emotional healing is a big part of the overall total body. And I will say that, you know, cannabis is fantastic, it's wonderful, but it is the gateway to learning how to manage your own body, and that means whole body, that means everything that goes in it. Food, starting with food, and cannabis is just part of it. So this is my girl now, doing what she wants to do, finally. It has been a long journey, and after being her caregiver all of this time, I do have a message for you caregivers out there that have either had a long road or maybe you will, and that is to just take some time for yourself. And I mean that, like, really take some time for yourself. Having to come up with this talk and talk about Aubrey's story has made me think, well, is Aubrey's story my story? And it has been. But as a caregiver, you know, you have to maybe hire a sitter and leave and go to a show, or go hear some music and get out of the house and turn your phone off. So we are going to have some caregiver talks at lunch, and I do want to encourage y'all that if you do have some testimonials, that you come up here and talk about it, because it could impact somebody else. And I no longer say that I am a cannabis refugee. I am a Sonoma County resident, and I'm really proud to be here.